Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpwood Queen, and I'm reporting live from my little cabin in the woods, which always has such internet trouble since all these storms. But hopefully, if I kick off, just wait for me and I'll come back on. But we have here tonight our author, our featured author of the week, TK Thorne from Birmingham, Alabama. Thrilled to have you here, TK. I want to hear about your big trip. We have author Suzanne Kamata. She's in Japan. We have Jeffrey
Wow.
Matthews, who's in Florida. Nancy Raii, who's in Alabama. We've got Kim Davis. Kim, are you in Texas? I don't know if she can hear me. And
Yeah,
anyway,
Texas.
I'm going to begin. Lovelace Cook, here she is, and she's been on the road. But tonight we're here with TK, and she has, I picked the second book in this series, the Magic City series. So, TK, first of all, tell us about where you just went on your trip.
I just got back from a trip to Iceland and it was amazing. It was so beautiful. It felt like an alien world with all the
Real
lava.
Well, that would be right up your alley because you're always looking for aliens. You're
Well,
always looking for aliens.
oh
So,
dang, I forgot my
did you
green head.
Yeah, your green little Bobby Bob.
Yeah.
Did you go to that ice hotel where you stay and you sleep on blocks of ice?
Oh no, thankfully I didn't know anything about that.
Well, they cover the blocks with furs and everything, but
Wow.
everybody said it's made all out of ice and they build it every year. And I
Wow.
just think it's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But what were some of the highlights from your trip?
Oh dang. Well, I guess the most fun I had was riding an Icelandic horse.
I
And
knew.
yes,
And are they big? Do they have big
yes,
manes and tails? And
yes, they have
I I can imagine with
real
the cold,
thick,
they're a lot different. Yeah,
real
that's
thick. They call them horses, but they're small, but very,
really
yes, they're very small, but they're really sturdy animals. And the Icelandic people think so much about their horses. They call them farms where they raise them. And if one goes out of the country, it can never come back.
why is that?
I think it's because they don't want any diseases coming in to affect the herd.
Oh yeah.
Maybe because they've been ingrown for so long, and also I found out they don't vaccinate them, so they let them run wild when they're not, working or carrying riders or whatever. They graze on these highland plains all winter. They're out.
Wow. I can't imagine. Watched a few documentaries where they've gone there and it looks beautiful. And it just seems very cold. What was the weather like?
Well, it was cold, but we were in the southern part first, and then
Okay.
we had to hightail it to where we were going to go in the north because of a snowstorm. So,
Oh,
yeah, we had some dicey times on the road, and then it
real.
got really cold. It and then they have magnificent waterfalls, but the wind is very strong because they don't have a lot of trees. And that's for two reasons. One, because when the Vikings came in about the uh, ninth century or 10th century, they cut down a lot of the trees, but also because they're a land of fire and ice, and they have so many volcanoes erupting over time that it's just wiped out the trees. But
I think
amazing.
is this where they have those geothermal heating under the roads? I
Yes,
watched
yes.
Zac Efron did a whole series on how the roads are heated so they never have ice on them. Is that true?
I don't know. But what I do know is that the geothermal uh, activity, they use it to heat, to run hot water. And the hot water is their heating. So they very well could be running some of the pipes under the ground or near the ground. I do know this, we had to open the windows because it was so hot in the rooms. And I finally figured out why it was up. We turned off the heater and had to open the windows, and I was still burning up. And And then I saw this little pipe running down to the heater, because that's how they heat things, is through this hot water system. And the hot water pipe was exposed in the room, and that was making the room warm. It was quite fascinating what they do. They kind of accidentally figured that out. Are you frozen? Uh-oh. I'm chatting away and you are frozen, Kathy. But I see other movement elsewhere.
We can hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. Well, I will keep going until Queen Cat gets back then. It was fascinating.
Why did you go in the first place? Just vacation with friends?
Yeah, it's just we went with another couple, and it was just something I've always wanted to do. I've never. Whoops, there she is.
I disappeared for a second, so if this happens again, I just have to reboot and come back on. But it's fascinating to me. Have any of others here been to Iceland?
Nope.
You think this might be in a book someday?
Well, it could be, but I need to decide right now so I can take it off on my taxes.
You always have the most interesting takes on things. So how long have you been back home?
Just about a week, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, not long.
Yeah, you got caught up and you're on your sleep and jet lag and all that. Did you drive there, or is there other transportation?
I don't think there are trains there.
Oh,
so it was just driving. Yes.
wow. Well,
Can I ask, is it like Alaska with very extended days or nights?
Yes, it can be at certain times of the year. They're like no, land of the midnight sun.
Yeah.
At certain times of the year, they do have daylight all day and all night. But we weren't there for it. The biggest disappointment that I had was it was cloudy and rainy the whole time, and I didn't really get a good look at the Northern Lights, which was really on my bucket list. So I took pictures of videos of the Northern Lights, and I think I actually saw it a couple of times, but it varies whether the naked eye can see the colors or not. And to me, I saw a haze that looked green, and that I think was the Northern Lights. But my husband said nope.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, but I think guys sometimes have trouble with that green and blue thing. So.
Yeah, my dad always did. Well, so let's talk about this series of books. You've written how many books now?
I have 8 books out.
That's amazing. And there's now 3 in this series, which I've got. There's a new one, The House of Iron, that's come out, right?
Okay. Yes.
And is it going to continue, or is this the last one? Is it a trilogy?
It's a trilogy. Yeah, because I keep the same characters, and there's an overarching arc of plot throughout the 3 books. So I think I'm done.
Okay. Well, for those that are going to be watching later, because this is being recorded for the Public Queen channel, tell a little bit about how this series got started and why you wanted to write these stories.
I really didn't want to write them.
Okay.
And to explain that statement, I was a police officer. I was in law enforcement for a couple of decades. And really, I never was very much interested in crime stories because it felt like work, right? It's kind of like an attorney doesn't really want to write a trial and court drama because it's something they do all the time. So I went off and wrote historical fiction and nonfiction, thinking I was never going to write a crime book. But then these words just popped in my head one day, and as I somewhat famously was brushing my teeth is when it happened. And the writers here will understand this. I just felt like there was a book there, or there was a story not a, I didn't really know anything beyond those three little words. But I ran to my laptop and typed them. And the next thing I know, I have 3 books. So go figure.
Wow.
And they were.
But what were the 3 words, TK?
Yeah,
Okay,
what
I'll
were
tell
they?
you. The 3 words were "You're a hero." And I wrote them without only thing I had was a vague idea that there was a police woman involved. And it turned out that those words were actually not hers, but spoken to her by her sergeant. And she was in the middle of a crisis because she had just shot a man in the back, and he was dead.
Oh dear.
And it was like your worst nightmare as a police officer. And yet she had done it to save her partner, and hence the "You Were a Hero," which kind of made her sick at the moment. But that's what started it. And I had no idea there was going to be magic involved.
There's always magic when you're involved. I'm going to tell you that. You
Sweet.
always say the most surprising things. I always look forward to having you on the Tuesday night book club. So, and explain about the magic.
Well, you have to understand that Birmingham, Alabama, which is where these stories take place, is nicknamed the Magic City. And that nickname came from the fact that there were 3 ores. That this is true. There are 3 ores: iron ore, limestone, and coal, that are used to make steel. And when that was discovered, this little cornfield in central Alabama exploded into a boom town.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast, I think there were more cat houses, pardon the pun.
It's okay.
That reminds me of something I said in Iceland. But anyway, going back to the houses, there were more bars and houses of ill repute if you were in the city than any other kind of establishment. It was that kind of steel town. But
U.S. Steel's there, in Birmingham, So
well, actually, there's not much steel making anymore. The main business in Birmingham is the University of Alabama in Birmingham. But anyway, that's why it became known as the Magic City, because it grew so fast. It was magic. But
how big is Birmingham today?
Today it is somewhere between 200 and 300,000.
So kind of like the size of Nashville.
Yeah, except Nashville measures its metropolitan area, and Birmingham doesn't do that. So Birmingham is a city that's surrounded by suburbs, and that all goes back to its kind of racist past, where people wanted out of the city so they could control their own school systems and hopefully not have integration, which is, that's another kind of book that I've written too, nonfiction books about the civil rights history in Birmingham.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's great.
So
yeah, there's Jeffrey holding up the book. There we go.
Oh yeah, that's it.
That's the one.
Great book.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was, I can't say my last book because people tell me it sounds like I'm going to die.
Oh, you're not.
So it's my most recent book.
Well, you finished the House of Stone, which is the 3rd in the trilogy. It's been out for how long?
You mean House of Iron?
I mean House of Iron, your 3rd one, yeah.
I can't even remember when that came out exactly, because I was in the middle of working on the Behind the Magic Curtain too.
Oh,
so, wait a minute, I have it right here. I'll look at the copyright date. Let's see, that came out in 2021. which was like during the pandemic, the end of it. And Kathy's frozen again. So I will go back and can y'all hear me still?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll go back and tell you where the magic came from. So what people don't know about the Magic City is that there are 3 ancient houses, and I mean
Read
that
all 3. Wonderful story. The sequel to your magic book?
I'm sorry. What would you repeat the question?
Go ahead.
You were frozen again. So
I know. Every time it freezes, just keep going.
Everybody else can hear me, so I'm keeping going. So anyway, there are 3 ancient houses that have been around for a long time, houses of witches and warlocks. And they are able to use the 3 ores that are used to make steel, feed their abilities. They're not your typical witch and warlocks, and they call themselves that kind of tongue in cheek.
That's fascinating and the perfect time. Here it is, October.
I know, what a perfect time for Halloween.
It really is. It really is. So I'm going to bring everybody into the conversation. So if you have any comments or have any questions, jump in, you guys. Take your audios off. Any questions or comments or or
Well, I got one.
okay.
TK, who do you have any detective fiction that you like to read that has influenced you?
That's good.
That's a great question, and the answer is no.
Okay.
And again, I just didn't really care for detective fiction because of my background. It's kind of like if you watch a movie with me or my husband, who's also a retired law enforcement, it's really difficult because we get kind of ticked off at strange things like people carrying, entering a building with the gun up in the air. Never do that.
TK, do you know a Becky Hanks?
I do.
Well, I'm going to let her in. She's jumping on board. Okay, here she comes. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so because of those things, it didn't entertain me to just find out who done it, and that's probably why my books have magic in them, because that's interesting to me, and I write primarily for myself. If it entertains me and interests me, then that's what I write.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head, because everything about your books and about you is highly interesting to me. I always look so forward to your take on things, because you have a different outlook on everything that is so it's delightful. So you're working on, how far are you into this next book?
I'm about halfway through.
Oh, good.
And the book I'm working on is called The Old Lady.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I've heard you talk of this before, and I love it.
Yep.
And can you give us anything more, a tease, so that we'll be dying to read it when it comes out?
Well, this book started because I was asked to write a short story in 2021, I think. And I don't know, I assume other people found this, but I was in a very dry place during the pandemic. And it was really difficult for me to access my creativity. I was okay working on Behind the Magic Curtain because that was at a point of editing. And the last book of House of Stone, it was editing phase. I could do that, but I couldn't write anything original. And so I was asked to contribute to an anthology of law enforcement authors. These are people all over the world that had been in law enforcement, and they participated in this anthology. So I said, yes, I'll do it. And then I went to myself, I have nothing. But I did it on purpose. I challenged myself to come up with this story. So I couldn't find a character, and that most of my writing focuses on a character and developing that character. And when I couldn't find one, I said, oh, hell, I'll just do myself.
Good for you.
People tell me I'm a character, so.
You are.
Look who's talking.
Well, I know. They broke the mold when they made Kathy Murphy. So, but that's what I look for. I look for the stories that haven't been told from perspectives you have not heard from before. And we are, quite frankly, on a roll. I just announced my 2024 picks. So if you haven't seen them, they're up on Facebook, and I'm going to be reaching out to everybody. But anybody else have a comment or want to jump in on any aspect of TK books? Yeah, go ahead.
I would love to hear how you first got into writing.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. We have to go way back. You know, writing is storytelling, right? So I started telling stories when I was 4 years old. And I know that I was 4 because my grandfather took me to the toy store once and told me I could buy anything I wanted in the store. I know, it was like,
Wow.
And I was quite overwhelmed by that. And I remember thinking I didn't want to take advantage of his generosity by picking something huge. And so I picked out this little stuffed rabbit.
Oh.
And I had that rabbit until it literally deteriorated. And I named her Peter because that was the only rabbit I knew.
Right.
And you know, I was a realist in the daytime, but at night I knew there were monsters under the bed. And I was worried about my windows too, about something coming through my windows or under the bed. And it was really hard to get up and go to the bathroom because I knew something would grab me, right? So out of that fear, I started playing with my stuffed animals, and I gave Peter magical abilities.
Ooh.
And also Spot and some other stuffed animals that were on my bed with me. And those, so they, you know, used their magic to protect me. And then I started playing with them, and just like all children play with dolls or whatever. And I made up stories, and I was the storyteller for myself first, and then with my sister when we were playing, I was the one that directed the, you know, what's happening with the Barbie dolls and the horses. We had little plastic horses. And then in the neighborhood, I would make up stories for us to enact. And it didn't occur to me that there was anything unusual about the fact that I was always the one making it up. I thought it was pretty cool because I got to be queen and the boss and and everything because I was making up the story.
Did you put on shows like Little Rascals? Because I did the same thing. I mean, we would run the, you know, the sheets on the clothesline. So they'd be like, you know, the theater curtains, and we'd dress up the dog, and we'd act out all the books that I read. But, you know, I don't know if anybody else thinks this, but your story about those animals, I don't know if kids play with dolls or stuffed animals like they did when I was a kid. I mean, you know, I played with sticks and mud. So, but that would be a wonderful children's book. You know, to encourage the imagination through play and also to calm your fears. That would be a great children's book. I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but I love the story about Peter and Spot and all your horses and That would be, and I know that your take on it would be really humorous. You would have a nice think about that. So anyway, and so that storytelling led to the writing. That's fascinating. But when did you
Yes.
actually first put pen to paper?
I know I tried to write a story when I was 10 years old. And I remember the story. It was about, again, a magic fox and a little girl that was looking for a magic fox in the forest. And I read the story to my parents, and I still remember this because it led to some very important writing advice. So the problem with the story was that I had a beginning and a middle, but no end.
Oh,
But I went ahead and read it to my parents, and my mother was very supportive and said, that's wonderful, darling, keep writing. And my father said, where's the end?
those dads. Yeah.
That was my father. So, so that's the important piece of writing advice that I learned, is that you need an end. And
There
that
you
is
go, Suzanne.
stayed with me all these years. I try to write an end.
Do you write the end at the end, or do you come up with it now because of that as you're going into the writing process?
An interesting question. It depends on the book.
Okay.
So for House of Rose and
Yeah.
Stone and Iron, I started it literally, as I told you, with those 3 words and that idea, and then built the world around it. I had no idea how it was going to end.
So you're not an
Yeah,
outliner. Do you outline your books at all?
no, in my head, kind of. So, but mostly it's like, what's the next scene? And then if I'm fortunate enough to have an end in mind, which I did with Noah's wife and my book about Lot's wife, because I was loosely following the biblical tale, right? And I knew I wanted to end here in the story and here in the story. But that was it. That was my goal. And I think about the end a lot, but so much of the end depends on what happens in the middle. So it's kind of a guidepost.
Are you sometimes surprised by the end, or do you ever change it?
I'm often surprised by a lot of things.
Suzanne, do you have anything more you want to add?
No, I like your answer. And yeah, another thing I wondered is, do you have someone that you exchange work with? Do you have like a writers group, or do you just write by yourself and send it to your editor?
I have several people that are kind enough to read. My husband is my first reader, and he's very important to that process. But I'm just, yeah, it varies. I get friends to read it, and then sometimes I will, like for this book, because I'd never done this kind of genre, I was a little nervous about it, and so I engaged a professional editor to look at it. In fact, I had an editor go through the whole book, and then I had 2 other professional people look at just the beginning piece, and that gave me the confidence. Submitted it.
You hear that more and more and more, because so many publishers have let so many editors go that you almost have to have somebody come in to give it that once over and look and everything. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's interesting. Anybody else have some comments or questions about the writing process?
Hey, TK, it's Nancy Raya.
Hey,
Yay!
Nancy.
Hey, good to see you on here. I just have a basic question. I'd love to know your daily discipline about writing. Was it the same time of day, number of hours, number of words? And what do you do when you have a block? How do you break out of it? Is it exercise, singing and dancing, tap dancing, whatever?
You owe me thanks because I didn't spit on you when you asked what my discipline was. I mean that as in terms of laughing. I don't have any requirement for myself, and part of that is because I'm retired, and I just feel like this is one of many things that I do. Rather than the most important thing that I do, which is how it felt when I was working full time. When I was working full time, it was like every moment that I had to write. And then suddenly I retired and I don't have to write anymore. And it has stopped being the driving force and meaning of my existence. I've found other things that I love doing, and I write when I can. In fact, I've gotten to about halfway through this new book, and I'm trying to make myself write more. And what really helps me is if I count the words every day and give myself the reward. Oh, I wrote 1,000 words today. That's my goal. So when I do that, and I've been under pressure to get something done before, and that's a little piece of seeing that little reward helps me to do that.
Yeah.
TK,
Tell
if you
about-
don't, if you don't read detective fiction, there's a lot of books behind you. What do you read?
Let me see. I'm trying to be funny, I don't know how to be. So I started reading science fiction when I was young, and that was a love. In fact, I hated history. I read science fiction. I was very focused on the future, not on the past. So it's very ironic that I have written historical fiction and non-historical nonfiction. I haven't figured that out yet. But I read science fiction, and then I read fantasy. And then I started, as an adult, I just started reading anything that was written well, and broadened my reading. So I can't tell you what I don't really like a particular genre, except I don't read much crime fiction still. And y'all, I would like to introduce a friend here that you may not know, Becky Hanks, who's on with us. Hey, Becky.
Hi.
Becky, I have known her. She was a police officer with me in the police department, and we worked together a lot. And she's read my books too. So
Good times. Good times.
Welcome,
Yes.
Becky.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you. Teresa, can you talk a little bit about two things? I'm interested in how you describe how it comes from your mind through your hands and onto the computer. I don't know if you've talked about that. And also how close you are to the characters and how they amuse you sometimes.
I think most writers understand that phenomenon of feeling like you are not the writer, that you are
Right.
just the conduit. And I believe that is our subconscious. And in old days, they called it the muses, because everybody's felt this way, I think, since the beginning of art, that it wasn't them, it was some other force. Because where do the words come from? When you paint, Kathy, where does it come from? You don't really know, you just do it. And so I think it's the subconscious that's guiding us. And being a writer or an artist is about getting out of the way to that conduit that comes through you. I think every single person has that potential to do it, but learning, it takes a long time to learn. Yet a lot of lot of words have to go in and a lot of words have to come out before the flow is there. And my characters basically talk to me. So, Kathy, you asked about, am I ever surprised? I was writing a chapter in my first published book, which is Noah's Wife. And Noah's wife turned out to have Asperger's syndrome. I did not give it to her. I just diagnosed her. But I was writing a very serious, tense scene one night. And I was on my favorite writing place, which is my bed. And I was just typing away and she doing whatever she said. And then suddenly she said something completely unexpected. And I howled with laughter because it was so perfect. It came right out of her character and the situation. And I almost fell off the bed. So.
That's great. It's really great. Did you two work together, Becky?
Yes.
You did? Oh,
She came on a little bit after I did.
okay.
And I don't know if, I'm pretty sure she pulls from a lot of the experiences that we had, but she was a delight to work with. She was a sweetheart.
I can
So
imagine.
that's when we both had brown hair.
We've all been there.
And she is, I have to tell y'all that she is, I don't know if you know her personally, but she is a really encouraging person. She shares her skill with children and with her friends and encourages me to write, although that's not my first gift. But through many years, she has stretched my willingness to put my toe in the water. And she's very encouraging. I'll never be the writer she is, of course. Like she says, I've been doing this for a long time. So she knows so much more than I could ever possibly do anything like what she does. But she's getting me to a place where probably nobody else could get me there, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that's sweet.
So she's got that gift.
Great.
She's not stingy.
She is not. She's very generous, and she's an artist too. I mean,
Yes.
she paints, she has her horses. I mean, tell us a little bit about your other passions.
Well, I started painting during the pandemic also. I never in a million years would have thought that I could, but I love it. It's just a wonderful outlet. And yes, I have 3 horses. 2 of them are rescue horses. Again, something I did spontaneously during the pandemic. Decided we had a horse. It's a long story, but the short end is we had a gelding that was by himself. We gave him to a neighbor who had other horses. And after a while, she gave him back. So it's like, that once they've been to Gay Paris, the farm isn't the same. He was miserable. And so I got him a couple of mares to keep him company. Right. And so that's why I have 3. And what else do I do?
You'll have to share some of that. I haven't seen any of your latest artwork, but I tried so hard to get one of your paintings at our last live Girlfriend Weekend Book Club convention, and I was outbid. Do you know?
I got it. But
Kim, oh
yes, but I haven't framed it yet, and I'm not sure where I have the stack of things to go be framed. So I have it.
I'm glad you got it. Yeah.
I don't know where.
Let me get you one. Can I show yours?
Egret.
You go get one.
Let's see. Because I love your art.
Thank you. I love yours.
Well, I've got a lot here right now. Everybody.
I know. I don't know, Kathy, you say you wanted the piece of art. Where in the heck would you put it?
My sister is here now, and she goes, I've never seen anything like this because there's so much art. And I just took some to the gallery. So that's what I did during the pandemic. Besides reading, I painted my heart out, and it kind of got some of that out of you blew out the cobwebs and stuff. So, but I'm back in school now and I'm working on that art history master. So, but I'm
Very
looking
proud
forward
of
to
you.
seeing what you're painting.
Can you
What's
see
the,
what she did?
can you tip it this way, that down?
Well,
No,
hold
I
on.
don't know, or maybe hold it back. I'm not sure. I can't really. Can you see it? It's kind of dark.
Hold on just a minute. Let me change my perspective here. Maybe you can see.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we can, but beautiful work. Oh, there, it's better. Yeah.
Better.
Looky there.
So the one on the bottom is a picture that my husband took.
Uh-huh.
It's a duck. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
So then she took that picture and she painted it.
It's fantastic.
So I've got it double framed.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
So my brother saw it and said, which one's the painting? Which one's the photograph? I
Wow.
wish you could see it better. I wish I had better lights in here, but
Okay, put it down.
I know.
One thing
She's
I've
my
learned
hero.
through
Very
my
nice.
almost 24 years of interviewing authors is that authors have many talents.
Yes.
If they're artistic in one aspect of the arts, they usually have something else they can do. That's why every once in a while we do at Girlfriend Weekend a talent show, because it's always amazing to me all the the hidden talents that we have amongst our group. So, but TK is really fun, and we did some events together. And actually, we first met in Fairhope, Alabama. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
We shared a kind of an Airbnb, and we had a really good. That was fun. That was
It
really
was
a lot of
fun.
fun. And we ate a lot of pie.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of pie. So, and if I ever get out again, right now, I'm just not getting a whole lot of places because of the school, but I'm loving it. So, well, are you showing anywhere with your art or anything, TK?
No, right now I give it away mostly.
Well, good for you. I've given away a few pieces myself because, this time is tough for people and not everybody can afford,
And by the way, I have one of your pieces.
yes, you do. And it's one of my
Yes.
favorite ones.
Mhm.
Favorites. I
Yes.
love that one. And I was really excited when I knew it went to your home.
It
And,
did.
but we all, there's several people that have my art in their homes, and it just always delights me because I feel like a little piece of me, that time I work on that painting is with the home. Do you feel that way when your art goes out to the world?
I do.
I do.
And
too.
the other thing I like about painting is, I guess it takes me maybe a week to do a painting because I do watercolor and it has to dry and all that stuff. And I compare that with how long it takes to write a book.
Yes. It's a lot faster, and it seems like it when you get in that flow, it just, comes all together. But I've lately just been working on commission pieces, and I've got one I've got to get finished by the end of the month. But remember Scott Boyer from California?
Yeah.
The author, he is commissioned me to do a painting for his father. So I'm very excited about that. And I'll be getting it done by the end of the month. But anyway, so back to your books. Where do you see yourself going, say in 5 years?
With my
Good
books or just
question.
in general?
Just in general, have you got plans?
I am loving life right now.
Yeah.
And I love everything that I'm doing. I still want to travel. Somebody you said was in Japan here. That's kind of my next.
Suzanne. She comes in
Suzanne.
every week, just about every week, from Japan. So
That's
yeah,
wonderful. I went to Japan once on a martial arts tour, but I want to go back. It's been a long time ago. So
Let me
that's a
know if you
special
come
place.
and I'll show you around.
Thank you. I will.
Any
Domo,
other? Go ahead.
domo arigato gozaimasu.
Very good.
I just said thank you very much.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about that.
Okay.
Do you want to hear it? Do we have time?
Sure.
So I was in Japan, and I don't know where we were. I was with a very small group, and we were in between somewhere at a subway station that was mostly deserted. And there was a young Japanese girl who was acting as our guide, or maybe she was just somebody sitting next to me. I'm not sure. But I was very proud of the fact that I could say, "Where is the bathroom?" in Japanese.
Oh, good.
So,
Good to know.
so I asked her, and the word for the bathroom is benjo. So I said, "Where is the benjo, please?" And her response was to hide her head in her hands. She was so embarrassed that I said that.
There's actually a more polite way to say it.
Tell
It's
her, Suzanne.
Let me
The
tell my
place where-
let me tell my
Okay,
story,
all right, go ahead.
because
yeah.
that's exactly what I learned. And so I asked her again, "Did I say it wrong?" I said, "Where's the benjo?" And she goes, "Ooh." And the third time I asked her, and she did that, I said, "Please tell me what I'm saying wrong. I figured I had the wrong word." And she can't hardly get her head out of her hands. She's so embarrassed. And then she says, "Oh, ladies no say benjo." And I said, "Oh, what do ladies say?" And she goes, looks around, she goes, "Toilette."
Like French.
A French word.
Yes.
So was that what you were going to say?
No, usually people ask for like, where's there's usually like a little place to wash your hands outside the toilet. So you say like, where's the
Hand
place
washing
to wash your
place. Yeah.
hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, the tearai, yeah.
Well, I was beyond that, but anyway, so that's my funny story about the toilet in Japan. In
Well,
case you ever need that, right?
Right. Very good. Very good. So, if you were going to be mentoring like you do to other people, what are some words of advice you'd like to give to who wants to write a book?
Well, I truly believe in that you have to be stubborn to write a book, because the biggest factor is perseverance.
Mhm.
I wrote 7 books, maybe 6 now, 6 books before my first book got published.
Wow.
And
That's determination there.
yeah, so
It's
just
paid off.
stop.
Paid off.
It paid off. It paid off, but it's been a very long journey. Hopefully you don't have to do that now. I started back in the days when you had to have an agent, and you had to have, the agent had to get you a publisher, and it was pretty tough. And there are other avenues now.
Mhm.
So
just this weekend, I noticed on social media, all this book marketing publishing is coming out, where they've got the prices, what it covers. I was going like 5 different sources, including Penguin Putnam is now helping people self-publish books. And
Yes.
it's kind of scary to me, kind of like artificial intelligence scares the living daylights out of me. Have you read any of that in your science fiction books?
Oh yeah. I've been reading about AI since I was a little girl.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
getting pretty scary. I just watched a robot compete in ice skating that was flawless. A robot.
Wow.
And I'm
Wow.
going, "Oh no, now they're taking over the athletes competing in the Olympics." It's just too scary for me. So anyway, but I wondered if there was anything you read like that in some of your science fiction reading.
Oh yeah. In fact, I think people that read science fiction have a little bit of an advantage in terms of some of the scary things, because change is happening so fast
Really?
right now. I mean, it's snowballing, and with AI, it's going to our world is going to go upside down very quickly.
You should see it on the college campus because all the kids are using it for papers. It's gotten to be quite the hot button topic. So I'm looking forward to our panel, Jeffrey, at Girlfriend Weekend. And I'm always reading the posts from Jamie Ford and some of my other New York Times bestselling authors about how their works are being,
Yeah, used. But
Yep.
I will say this, that AI right now, the way they trained the chat GPT is not on a whole book. It's on pieces of
Right.
a lot of different things, but it's still using the author's work without permission. But it's not like it reads the whole book.
Right.
At
But
this
that's
point.
still not right. I just don't.
I agree, and I signed with the Authors Guild. I signed the letter.
What
in
about you,
support of-
Kim Davis? What do you think about all that?
I'm with you. It's terrifying. But yeah, it makes you afraid to use any of the tools that might be useful, like checking for punctuation errors and so on. That's a useful tool, but yeah, it goes way too far. I haven't read anything Chat GPT generated that qualifies yet as proper literature, but I keep seeing a lot of things posted by professor friends where they've tested it one way and another, and their students have tested it. And there are some good professors making some really good prompts for the students and inviting them to use it. Let's use it and see what it can do. And then that way they're still able to teach a lesson, but it's a stumbling block for everybody right now.
Yeah.
Well, I started playing with it right away. And just as a test, I asked it to write a chapter from the book I'm working on, and I gave it some information, and it wrote the most horrendous piece of fiction. It was so cliche, and I said something to it and said, this isn't even possible for this to happen. And he apologized. It apologized and said, "You're right." It apologized and said, "You're right." But I will say this: out of that, and there's a difference between when it writes a paper like a student paper and when you try to write fiction. Just like people that can write essays, but when they try fiction, there's a lot more layers in there to make that work right. And Chat GPT hadn't gotten there yet. Not to say it will, but it hadn't gotten there yet. However, in the middle of all that mess that it produced, it made me think about another angle in the plot. And that was very useful.
Okay.
So,
well,
yeah.
I'll also add, there's one that I have put some of my own work into that I found useful because it gave me things like comparable titles. So when you're ready to write that query letter to somebody, and it can tell you, oh, this is like so-and-so's novel. It has this similar scenario and similar protagonist. And, of course, it was people I'd never heard of, but I wouldn't also never have found their work. So
right. So it does have uses.
Yeah, and that one, I'll tell you, that one's called author.ai. And so you can go and drop something into it, and it'll go through and tell you when you've used a word, misused a word, or used a word too many times. It'll give you things. And I did this in my college research where you would collate the words. How many times is the word "the" used? Or how many, and you can ask and it'll tell you all that stuff, but particularly where you overuse a word. And so that's quite a useful tool.
And I think was the intention for it, but now it's being, as with anything in the music or the, writers for film, you know, it can be misused. So we just have to be discerning on how we choose that. So we'll hope for the best and look forward to our panel at Girlfriend Weekend at our convention, which I'm contacting all the authors now. It's going to take me a while because I've got over 50 books already selected and a few on their way that people want me to read. But, you know, I hope we'll be getting the voting ballots out soon, you guys, for the books of the year. We hope all our 2023 authors will come because we're going to have our awards celebration again. And I'm letting all the 2024 authors know so they can be there, so they can be introduced. And we've got more New York Times bestselling authors coming this year because when I switched it from live to Zoom, it just made it so much more accessible to people that were all over the country and out of the country to attend. So especially authors like Jamie Ford and Lisa C., they go, oh, if it's going to be Zoom, I'll be there. So I know a lot of people want us to meet in person. That'll be coming in 2025 in Texas, because that's our 25th year. I hope everybody will sign up on board for this year because the price is going to go up. I'm working really hard on this, and it's going to be Zoom, and it looks like I may be doing part or maybe all of it at the University of Texas library. I'm working with the librarians there. They're very much excited about the international convention. So stay tuned for that. Sign up. It's all up on the website, and be there because the more you can be there, the bigger our 25th celebration will be. And it's a great way to network with all your authors, and you get to hear every single one. The theme is Barbie Land, people, because Barbie can be anything. So at our author meet and greet on Friday night, come as your favorite Barbie or Ken, author Barbie, book club Ken, whatever. And Saturday night is Girls Just Want to Have Fun. So, and then Sunday night will be our awards with author keynotes and panels throughout the weekend. It's going to be amazing. And I am thinking about doing it over there because the internet here in the woods has just gotten to be just quite frankly terrible. I've dropped off here 5 times tonight. So far, I'm still on board. But TK, thank you for coming on board. I'm glad you had a wonderful trip, and I will work with all authors around your schedules. Any updates you want to give us on where you're going to be or what you're going to be doing in the future, or how to contact you?
All right. Is that me you're talking to?
I'm talking to you, Teresa.
Yeah, I have the same contact and that you've had. Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, she's blogging on the Pulpwood Queen Presents blog page. I'd love to see some of your artwork. Show everybody your horses, you know, and
I
maybe you can show your alien antenna.
hope I really don't plan to ever show that again. And that's not in my plan.
We've had a lot of fun through the years, and I'm looking forward to many, many more. So looking forward to everything you've got coming.
Okay.
Everybody keep your books coming to me, because if you don't send them to me, I can't pick them, because I cannot pick a book I have not read. I will not do that. So,
Okay.
okay, Kim, get me the books. And
I need to send you House of Iron.
yes, I don't have that book. I don't
know.
have it. So you need to get it to me soon. And because I want to support my authors that have been Pulpwood Queens and Timber Guy authors, because I believe in investing in your body of work the way it used to be. And I think a lot of people are just looking for the next big thing. And that's not what I'm about. I'm about investing in our authors, and I'm working on more ways to showcase you in the future. So subscribe to the Pulpwood Queen channel. It's so important, everybody, because when I get 1,000 members, which I'm far from there. I don't even have 300 members, and we've got thousands of book club members. If I can get everybody, then it shoots the authors. They will actually boost these, you know, they'll show them on when people are looking for things. So I really need you to subscribe. It's free. Next year it may not be because I put so much time into it. I've got to figure out some way to keep this thing afloat because the membership really fell off during a girlfriend weekend during COVID, and it's recently zipped back up. But membership is free, so I don't make any money off that. It's coming to the convention that helps support all that I do. So thank you, Teresa. We love you, and keep those books coming. Thank you to everybody who came tonight because it means the world to me. I really appreciate you all being here to support Teresa tonight. And remember,
I do too.
you're going to be featured coming up too. So support your author friends also. So Jeffrey will be my co-host for our Zoom convention, which I'm really thrilled about. Casey Cowers will be back with his Chasing the Queen's Gambit, but he's coming as an author, and that book has just exploded for him. They're coming out with a Queen's Gambit too. So I'm getting ready to go watch The Man from U.N.C.L.E. with my sister tonight. You got to watch this. And I go, that's not kind of my thing, but I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone. So I'll be watching that tonight. I'll have this up on the YouTube channel tomorrow morning. You're pre-approved for your post, Teresa, and I'll be sharing this on all social media. So if you have any questions about Girlfriend Weekend, ask me now. If not, email me at thepublicqueen@gmail.com. And Teresa's up on Facebook under TK Thorne, and you're under Teresa too, aren't you? Or
Yeah, I think it's Teresa. Yeah, Teresa TK Thorne is that's my Facebook page.
Yeah.
And
so,
I didn't understand what you were asking before. So my contact is, I have a website at tkthorne.com. I have the Facebook Teresa K. Thorne or TK Thorne. And occasionally I do a Twitter thing, but I'm kind of backing off of that these days.
I'll tell you, social media, people are bailing left and right since the change of Twitter and all that stuff. So, but you can always find everything I do up on our calendar of events on the website. I keep that up pretty faithfully, but I don't put it up too soon because we've had some surprise visitors with our Zoom links, and I'm very careful about who I let in now. So for those of you that were here that knew about our surprise visitor, you'll understand. But I only let book club members in, authors in too. So have a wonderful Halloween. Stay on board. We're going into the next Girlfriend Weekend, and it's going to be amazing, you guys. Lisa C, Jamie Ford, it looks like Adriana Trigiani maybe Ann Hood. We've got Abbott Kohler. We've got Marilyn Simon Rothstein. We've got Deborah Rodriguez coming in from Mexico. Suzanne Kamata is going to be there. I mean, we've got so many people. Jeffrey's my co-host. So check it all out. I put a little link up of who's confirmed. If you are coming and you are 2023, send me your book covers and your photos because I'll put it up on who's going to be there, because I'm going to introduce every author who comes. So, and multiple times. So it's, I'm trying to get you all out there in a big way. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for my in and out internet, but you're hanging with me, and I really appreciate it. Nancy, good to see you. It's good to meet you, Becky, and all my favorites that are here. Thank you so much. Have a great October. We'll see you at next Tuesday Night Book Club. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.